Hello everyone, welcome to my day 7 session. In this session, I'm going to talk about shell scripting, like the way I said even in day 6 session, wherein I've covered all the important and basic, I'll say, shell commands and the basic of Linux architecture also. Then I said that in my next session of day 7, I'm going to mostly talk about shell scripting. So let's begin with shell scripting session. But even before I begin, say in case if you feel as if my sessions could be helpful, to someone to whom you know, please share these videos or the link of my videos to others also. Also, if you did not subscribe the channel, please subscribe. Okay, so let's begin. So in shell scripting, I'm going to show you a couple of things. Now, what else? There is one more very important thing in shell scripting, which is looping. Very important thing. Now, looping plays a vital role in case of shell scripting because with looping, you can iterate, you can hover, you can just create multiple identities, multiple files or multiple directories you can create just by writing one single script of looping. So now looping are basically of two types. In case of shell script, loop is basically of two different types, for loop and while loop. So here loop is basically of two different types, for loop and while loop. So for loop and while loop works in different way. In two different ways it works. So what you have covered till now, we have already seen our hello world script. We have already seen our hello world script. We have seen variables, we have seen arguments, we have seen if, elif, else. Now the thing which we are going to talk about is for loop. So now for loop and while loop works in two different ways. Now let's see how for loop works with our demo. So in order to work with for loop, I'll create another file which is for underscore loop dot sh, and let's try writing in it. Let's try putting values in it. Again, let's start with shebang. Let's start with shebang. And here I'm going to first write some comment. Always write some comment so that it becomes very easy for you. Okay, so now I'm going to write some comment. This time I'll say disclaimer. Use case one, use case one, print numbers from 1 to 5. Fair enough. This is my first use case. Disclaimer. Okay, so now let's start writing. So there is an easy way to write it. What is the easy way? But yeah, you have to very specific about your they will be very specific about your um, syntax. Remember, syntax is very important in this case. So I'm going to write for. I'm going to start the for loop, and I'll say for. Let's say for num equals to 1, right? For num equals to 1, num less than equals to 5, num plus plus, and you close the bracket. Do echo dollar num. Done. Now let's try to understand this code first. All right, let's try to understand this thing first properly. What it says, I'm starting a for loop. Here I'm using one iterator. One iterator. What is the name of iterator? The iterator name I've given is num. You can give any name to this iterator, doesn't matter. And I am assigning a basic value, a starting value to this iterator, which is 1. Again, I am saying iterate till num, the value of num is less than equals to 5. Keep iterating till the time you see the value of num as less than equals to 5. Stop when it's exceeding 5, right? Stop when it's exceeding 5. And then after that, you will say, okay, fine. After that, you say that after that you say that and while you are doing it, you just increment the value by 1, num plus plus. Num plus plus basically means you want to iterate the value by 1, and then you say do. This is the syntax. After for you write do, and then you want to echo the value of num and done. Let's try to run this and let's see what it does. You may get some syntax error, but if syntax error comes, we'll resolve it. Chmod 754 and for underscore loop dot sh and dot slash for for underscore loop dot sh. It is printing all the numbers from 1 to 5, right? It is printing the numbers from 1 to 5. You see, as a part of our code, it is printing the numbers from 1 to 5. So what it says, if the iterator values, you start with the iterator value is 1, and you have to go only till 5. You do not need to go more than 5. You just have to go value when the value is equals to 5. So what it says, first it says, okay, fine, the value is equals to 1. Then I'm going to echo $1. Next, it's increasing the value of 1 to 2, num plus plus, which is equals to num plus 1 also. So now it's increasing the value to 2. Is 2 less than equals to 5? Yes, 2 is less than equals to 5. So I'll be printing 2. Again, it is increasing by 1. 3. Is 3 less than equals to 5? Yes, going to print 3. Again, it's going to increment. Is 4 equals less than equals to 5? Yes. Then it's going to print 4. Again, going to increment it to 5. Is 5 less than equals to 5? It is not less than, but it is equals to 5. So yes, I'm going to print it. Again, it has incremented it to 6. And again, it asks, is 6 less than equals to 5? So 6 is neither less than 5 nor equal to 5. So it exited. It came out of the code. This is what that script has done, right? This is what this script has done. So you can use this for loop in multiple different scenarios. Consider that you are asked to create 5 different files or 5 different directories. You can use same loop for that. So I'll say use case to create 5 directories with different names, with different names, or let's put 5 different directories. Let's write it in this only. Okay. So now here what I'm going to do, I will just comment it so that I do not delete anything. I'll just comment this. Now this time what I'm going to do, I'll write some command. What is the command to create a directory? Mkdir. You already know this. And here I'll say the name of the directory is demo. But this time I will suffix it with the numbers. So I'll write $num so that it creates the directories differently, right? So that it creates the directory differently every time when it's running. So now let's save and run. And now if I see ls, there is no directory which starts with the name demo. And now I'm going to run the script. Okay, now if I do ls, can you see it has created 5 different directories. Demo 1, demo 2, demo 3, demo 4, demo 5. It has created 5 different directories. And I just gave 5. You can create hundreds of directories like this. For example, if I'm creating this DevOps full course session, as I said you, the DevOps full course session is 45 days long session. In between, if I add the sessions like shell scripting full course or Python scripting full course, then it may go to even beyond 45. Say, for example, I want to create 50 different folders with different names, right? 50 different folders with some different names. I can do that also. How will I do that? In order to do that, I can make it even more interesting. I can make this script even more interesting. So in order to make this code more interesting, what I'll do is I will write another use case. I will create another use case. So this time it is use case 3. But in this use case 3, I am going to put some arguments. So what are the arguments? Arguments which I want to put is 1 for use case 3. I'm going to use 1 is folder name argument. Okay. 2 is 2 is the start range argument. start range argument, and 3 is end range argument. So multiple different arguments I'm putting in, right? Multiple different arguments I'm putting in while I'm using the for loop. Now let's see how this works. I'll just modify something in this code and I'll make it so generic that it can be used in multiple different ways. Now what I'll say, mkdir, and I'll just write $1, right? And I will say num equals to $2, which is the starting range. And here num should be less than equals to $3. So what I'm saying that the first argument which I'm going to pass after the script is $1, which is nothing but the folder name argument. Second is the start range of the argument, and the 3 is end range of the argument. Now save and come out of it. And now let's try to run it. Now I'm running it. Here I'm saying session. This is my first argument. After that, I want to say 1 and consider that my session goes till 50 different sessions. So I'm giving the starting range as 1 and end range as 50. Hit enter. So now if I do ls, can you see it created the session from session 1 and it is going up to session 50. Now where is session 50? Let's try to find out where is, see, this is session 50. Yeah, this is session 50. So now this is the way you will be able to create multiple folders just by running one single script. You see how fantastic it is. And this is the benefit of automation. This is what you will be able to achieve with automation. Now let me quickly delete all these script, all these folders, session, and I'll delete demo also, demo also. Now you see everything I have cleaned in by using rm-r command. This also we have discussed in our day 6 session, how to use rm command and what is the use of rm-r command. Now the last type of loop which I'm going to talk about is while loop. Right? So this will be the last type of loop. There are two types of loop, for loop and while loop. Already we discussed about for loop. The last type of loop which we have to talk about is while loop. Now let's create another file this time. While, or let's write while underscore loop dot sh. Another file for which within which we'll write while loop code only. So now while loop works bit differently than for loop. In for loop, you have seen, you have used iterator. The iterator looked for the starting range and end range. It went from starting range to end range, and you have done whatever action you wanted it to perform. But while loop works bit differently. While loop says that it is going to run till the time condition is true, right? So while loop works in much different way. While loop says that it is going to run, while loop says that it is going to while loop says while loop it executes, while loop this runs till condition is true. This condition is true. It breaks as the condition is false. It breaks immediately, but it runs till the time condition is true. Now let's see how this basically works. So now in while loop, you have to start it again with while, like the way we started for any other code. In while loop, we start with the name of the loop, which is while. So I'll say while, let's say while, and again you have to put the condition. For example, I want to define a variable num and the value to the variable which I've assigned is 0. Now what I'm saying is while, right? What I'm saying is while the value of num is less than equals to 5, while the value of num is less than equals to 5, do this syntax remains same, like for loop, do echo, do echo dollar, do echo dollar num. And but what happens when once you are running like this, it says that the value of num is 0. Is num less than equals to 5? Yes, num is less than equals to 5. It's going to print it. But this does not make any sense, because now it's not incrementing anything. You have to increment also, right? You have to increase the value also. Now to increase the value, you will write num equals to dollar num plus 1, right? And then you write done. So now what it is doing, it is starting with the value 0. It is going to check, is 0 less than equals to 5? Yes, it is equals to less than equals to 5. Print it. Increase the value by 1, again check. Increase the value by 1, again check, till the time the value of num is less than equals to 5. It is going to print it. As the value exceeds 5, it is going to break. So now let's save and come out of it. And now I'm going to provide certain permissions, chmod save141 to while loop.sh. And now let's run it. While loop.sh. Now I see it has printed from the number 0 to 5, right? It has printed from the number 0 to 5. So this is how you can work with your for loop also, right? This is how you can work with for loop also. Now let's use for loop in one more scenario. Can I integrate for loop with if condition? Yes, I can integrate for loop with what if condition also. So now let's write a script wherein use while loop to find even numbers, even numbers from even numbers in range 1 to 10, right? Use while loop to find even numbers in range 1 to 10. Okay, so now in order to do that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to first comment this thing, comment, and then I'll start my code, right? Let's start writing my code. Let's make it look more beautiful. Comment, and now let's start writing my code. Now here, let me just first put shebang slash bin slash bash. And now let's start writing our code wherein I am going to check if the numbers are even or odd in the range of 1 to 10. So I'm saying num equals to 1. I'll say while. Here I'll say the value of dollar $num is less than equals to 10. Then do. Now I'll call the if condition. Now I'll call the if condition. If dollar num modulus 2 is equals to 0, is equals to 0, then echo dollar num is even, else echo dollar num is odd, and close your if condition and done. So what it is doing here, let's try to understand this first. It says I'm assigned the first range, the start range of this value num equals to 1. Now it says till the time num is less than equals to 10, do this, right? Do this, and you try to find if the value is even or odd by using if condition. But again, you have to increment also, which I certainly seems missed here. So I'll say num equals to dollar num plus 1. I'm incrementing also. Now let's try to run it. And Let's try to run this while loop. Now what it says, 1 is odd, 2 is even, 3 is odd, 4 is even. See the way it's printing, exactly the way it is. So it has gone through from 1 to 10 and it has printed everything along with the string which you wanted to attach. So what you have learned in shell scripting session, you got to know about you got to know about hello world code first. First thing which we have learned was we got to know about hello world code. All right. So this is the first thing we started with. We started with our basic of hello world code. Sorry, we started with the basics of hello world code. Then we went into variable section. Then we checked for the argument section, and then we checked for the usage of if, elif, else, multiple scenarios we have seen. Under loop, we have seen two kind of loop, for loop and while loop. Both the types of loop we have seen under looping section. So for loop, and we have seen the usage of while loop also in our looping condition. So this is all about shell scripting, which is needed by you to work on DevOps perspective. If you know these many things in shell scripting, it's enough for you to write any fundamental level of shell scripting. And this is very, very important. So certainly when you start the session, go through this entire all the topics. It will be very much important. Now, if you think as if these videos will be helpful for others too, share it with others and subscribe the channel if you don't, if you have not done it now. So now in my next session, I'm going to also talk about other components of DevOps. So just put in the comments. In case if you need more advanced shell scripting, just write in the comment and I'll create more advanced form of shell scripting and more advanced session in shell scripting. There will be another playlist, another separate playlist for shell scripting zero to hero, wherein or shell scripting complete course, where I'll show you everything which you need to know about shell scripting, wherein I'll include functions, error handling, and a number of different things also. So thank you for watching today's session of day 7.